Welcome to WGLT Election 2020 coverage. Throughout the campaign season, we are conducting interviews and forums with candidates in different races. Today, we talk with Republican Jordan Baker and Democrat Leah Cline, who are running for McLean County Board in District 8, which includes downtown and West Bloomington. Videos of these interviews will be available online as well. Both candidates will have time for a brief opening statement and equal time to answer questions. Let's start with Republican Jordan Baker, who won the coin toss to go first with his opening statement.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Baker. I'm a recent graduate from Illinois Wesleyan, and I am running for McLean County Board here in District 8. First off, I want to thank Ryan and the whole GLT staff for helping put these on in these crazy times. I'm doing this from home. So I really appreciate you all doing everything you can to accommodate. And of course, thank you to my opponent as well. As we watch the national races and presidential race unfold, it's easy for these local elections to sometimes go underreported. However, local officials are the most direct link we have between the people and elected government. Sadly, as I meet with my neighbors and talk to them, that direct link is broken. The first question I always ask people is, do you know who your local representatives are? Out of everyone I've asked so far, I've only gotten 5 people who've told me they know who their local representatives are, and only 2 of them have talked to them recently at all. This is unacceptable and something that has to be changed. We need more responsive leadership, and that is what I will do. If elected as your next county board member, I will conduct monthly town halls in each of my 8 precincts to make sure I continue to represent your best interests. It is important to give ample opportunity for residents to voice their concerns and ideas and for leaders to listen to them, and I will do that. Before we begin, I want to make this clear. Neither myself nor my opponent has ever been elected to office before. When you vote for one of us, you're going to be taking a leap of faith. And today, I hope to demonstrate why you should put that faith in me, Jordan Baker, Republican, for County Board, District 8.
Democrat Leah Cline, your opening statement.
Well, thank you, Ryan and GLT, for giving me this opportunity. And thank you to the listeners for tuning in. When I moved to Bloomington in 2012 to take a teaching job here at ISU, I was immediately made to feel at home in this community. Since then, I have tried to get back to my new home. I joined the Miller Park Neighbors group shortly after buying my house on the west side. We did neighborhood watch, trash pickups, and spring picnics. I volunteered with the newly formed West Bloomington Revitalization Project. By 2016, I was volunteering as an election judge with the Bloomington Election Commission and was selected to be the polling coordinator for my home precinct in Miller Park Pavilion. I was also appointed to the City of Bloomington's Historic Preservation Commission in 2016, a commission that I now chair. In the 8 happy years I have lived in Bloomington, I have sought more and more ways to get involved and to serve this community. Now I am running for county board because I believe I have gained the experience and knowledge necessary to serve in that role effectively. As an administrative oversight body, the county board oversees the professional staff of the county, aiding them in their work and ensuring that all aspects of county government stand up to the necessary scrutiny of the public body. To this role, I bring a dedication to good governance through transparency, fair scrutiny, and collaboration. My training in academia has taught me how to read closely, to work constructively and creatively towards a solution, and to never give up on a problem, because behind every problem is a person who needs your help. These days, especially, our community needs effective leaders in county government who can help see us through this health and economic crisis. I hope that you will give me this opportunity to serve our community as a county board member representing District 8. Thank you.
Okay, the first question is going to be going to Democrat Leah Cline. Leah, what are your expectations for the McLean County Health Department in 2021 as they relate to the pandemic? What would you do as a county board member to help the department to meet those expectations?
All right, thank you. It's important to note that the county board has sort of limited control over the county health department. The county health department has its own board that meets regularly to oversee its day-to-day operations. The county board is, however, able to approve and control parts of the budget for the McLean County Health Department. So they do play a pivotal role in its budgetary process, but they do not play a day-to-day governing role. And just as a point of information, that 2021 budgetary process will be complete before any of the new board members are seated. So that is not something that I would have direct control over. However, I do, of course, as a citizen of this community and someone who's concerned about COVID-19, have expectations of the county health department. The health department in terms of District 8 helps to provide oversight services for our small businesses that deal with food and beverage in the downtown area, and of course to maintain the health records for large corporations that are on the far west side of our district. But in terms of COVID-19 and its process, the testing facilities, the testing capacity that has been run through the county board, of course with IDPH funding, has been ever increasing, and I would hope to see that the county board could not only expand their contact tracing capacity incrementally as we go forward, but also play a pivotal role in any vaccine deployment that might come our way, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Jordan Baker, your turn.
Yeah, I would like to echo a lot of what Leah just said. I mean, I think we're all concerned about COVID. We're all trying to help out as best as we can. As we tape this on August 31st, I'm not exactly sure when everything is going to be coming out, but the numbers may look very different when this comes out. I know as of right now, we hit double digits in our percent positivity rate. I know that we are looking at IW and ISU students trying to help tamp down those numbers there as well. And I look forward as someone who will be on the county board listening to people on the health department in any way I can help them. This is a fast changing environment. And like I said, we don't know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now, or 2 months from now, or 2 years from now. And so it's hard for me to give specific recommendations, but specifically listening to the people on the health department, on the health board, to find the best way to move forward, to protect students, to protect our community, and keep everyone safe.
This is 89.1 FM, WGLT, WGLT.org. You're listening to an interview and forum with candidates for McLean County Board in District 8. How would you, this next question, by the way, will go to Jordan Baker first. How would you evaluate whether to support offering economic incentives, such as tax breaks, to businesses to get them to expand or locate into McLean County?
That's a great question. Something that's been a pillar of my campaign is the economic side of things. When we're looking at new businesses that are wanting to either locate here or people who want to start a business here, I think it's very important to look at who is starting that. If it's an entrepreneur or a local business, I'm much more apt to give them tax incentives or help with TIFs to give them the boost that they may need. We've seen a lot of restaurants and chain businesses also receiving funds, and that's something that I would not prioritize. I want to prioritize our first-time entrepreneurs and local business owners first. Along with that is a program that I would like to develop for our low-income people, not just living here in District 8, but in the county, is to create essentially an entrepreneurship competitive grant for people who are first-time entrepreneurs who don't have the capital that they need to start their business, but have a great idea. They have a lot of strength and willpower, and they want to start a business here locally. I would like to give them that opportunity by giving them a little capital boost to start their business here locally.
All right, Democrat Leah Cline, your turn on the question of when to offer economic incentives and how you would go about making that decision.
So thank you. One of the issues that we have in McLean County is that we have maxed out essentially on our tax for homeowners and for residents. And so the only way for us to expand our resources as a county is to expand and improve our economic situation overall, right? So in very general sense, incentivizing new businesses, whether those be locally owned or coming in from other parts of the state or our region, is extremely important, right? Now, when it comes down to discussing TIFs and other things, I'm an advocate for public education, and I'm an advocate for so many of the resources that benefit from the tax that is levied on some of these businesses. So it's not always my first priority to give them breaks. I want everyone to pay their fair share into the resources that we all use, our students use, our children use, the roads that we drive over in the county. So I'm not usually the first person to give up on those sorts of issues. However, we have an incredibly rich economic base here in our community in the form of our graduating students, right? Jordan is an example of that. We graduate quite a number of students from ISU and Wesleyan every year, who many of whom love this community and want to stay in this community and are highly educated and capable workers. So we have a really rich base of workers here in this community that we need to market better, providing both those businesses a workforce and our graduating students a place and a capacity to stay here and earn a good living.
This next question goes to Leah first. The county plays an important role in administering elections. What would you do as a county board member to ensure the integrity of elections and that there are even fewer barriers to voting?
Thank you. So as I said in my opening statement, I have been involved in local elections since 2016. I started in that process of being just a normal election judge with the Bloomington Election Commission, and then was elevated to the polling coordinator for my home precinct for, I think I was there 6 different elections. And so I have sort of a firsthand experience with how the actual mechanical process of voting goes and how that can be supported best. Now, the county board does not control, obviously, what happens with the Bloomington Election Commission. And likewise, the county clerk, Kathy Michael, has fairly free reign in her department. Again, the county board helps to set the budget, but she is able to fully and absolutely control her part of the county offices. So there's a little bit of a barrier there. But as a board member and as a citizen, as I do now, is advocate as much as I possibly can for maintaining fair and free access to the polls. And by that, I mean, I know in the last year or two, there have been several attempts by the clerk to move some of the polling locations, some of them because the polling locations where they were before no longer wanted to host voting. Other times it was sort of I think a management of resources, but we need to make sure that when polls are moved, when materials are made less accessible, that we compensate for that we find a way to make it as accessible as possible. In the incoming election, that means making sure that everyone has the information that they need for mail-in voting and that they have access, free access to and information about all the different polling locations that are open around the county.
Jordan Baker, your turn at the question of what you would do as a county board member to ensure the integrity of elections and that there are even fewer barriers to voting.
Yeah, I think Leah hit it right at the very end, actually, is the information aspect. That's very critical when we're talking about how polarized elections have become, and especially with the mail process with voting, is that we need to make sure that as either an elected official or someone who is running as one, that we are putting out accurate information and we're not trying to sow any confusion or trying to lay blame on people who are not deserving of it. In terms of reducing the barriers to vote, we see this early voting, we see mail voting, and it just goes back to explaining to people all the different ways that they can vote, either in-person day of, early voting, or mail voting. If we continue to do that and we are listening to our constituents and helping them out in figuring out where their polling places or how to mail in their ballot, where they can go to vote early. Before my time is up, I just want to actually mention this again, is that September 24th is really the first day of Election Day. That is when early voting starts here in Illinois and in McLean County. You can go vote at the Grosinger Arena or the Coliseum, whatever you call it, starting September 24th. That's also when people will send out, when the county clerk and when the BEC will be sending out their mail-in ballots to people. So that's when voting starts, essentially. And that's sort of how I'm going about it, is telling people all the ways that they can vote, and helping guide them and answering their questions as best as I can, or directing them to the to a specific group or department for further assistance.
All right, this next question will go to Jordan Baker first. The county board is a little bit unusual among local governments in that it's partisan, with political parties attached to members' names. Why are you a Republican?
I know that we got that question asked to us in the little questionnaire. You know, I think at the local level, my first duty is to be as responsive and as a representative as possible. Why I'm a Republican is more national level, but there are also things that I hope to take to the local level in terms of fiscal responsibility and government efficiency. Those are the two key things that I find, not to say that Democrats aren't fiscally responsible or wanting an efficient government. I just think Republicans are more proactively searching for that, searching for those options, and really marketing themselves around that. And that's sort of where I come from, and that's what I plan to bring to the county board. But like I said before, you know, at the local level, what we need are officials who are responsive to the needs of people, and that means listening to them first. When we have citizens who don't know who their local representatives are, and whose elected officials only come around knocking on their door when they need their vote and nothing else, we've got unresponsive leadership. And that's why, that's part of the reason why I'm running. That's part of the reason why I put that at the front, is when we have unresponsive leadership, you need someone who's going to bring that trust back. And, you know, I don't think that's partisan in nature, but that's something that I will do.
And Leah Cline, a similar but slightly different worded question for you. Why are you a Democrat?
Thank you. Yeah, you know, this is, it's being a Democrat is really deeply rooted in who I am as a person. You know, my parents met at a rally in Berkeley, California in 1970. So I've been a Democrat my whole life. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana as a rare bird. And I was raised with certain ethics, and those ethics are that I put people over profits, right? Education over mysticism. And I believe that government is there to help support the community, right? It's not there necessarily to support businesses, although that's an incredibly important part of what we do in government generally. But I believe that people matter, and their feelings and their concerns matter. And Jordan, and you are correct that this is a hyper-partisan, a hyper-polarized time that we find ourselves in. And I think it's wrong to say that that's a new thing. I'm a historian by training, and I can tell you it's certainly not a new idea. But I am a Democrat because I believe in those very simple liberal values. And I think as someone who is a community member, I find that there needs to be more an attention on the lower income, non-white parts of our community. And we need to pay attention to the areas of our community that are not receiving a whole lot of attention. And sometimes we have to make some sacrifices in terms of financial benefit, if that means that we can help more people. And so I don't know if that's a short philosophical answer. I could give you a longer one, but in 90 seconds, that's about it.
Okay, and Leah Cline, this next question, this last one is, we're going to start with you and then we'll bounce over to Jordan. Other than the issues that we've already talked about today, Leah, what are going to be the ones that you work on and care about the most if you're elected?
Thank you. You know, I think I have centered my campaign around 3 essential issues. But now that has to become 4 because since October, when I got into this race, COVID wasn't on the map at that point. So COVID and its recovery is obviously going to be central. But the 3 kind of main issues that I'd like to talk about are transparency in McLean County government. I'd like to talk about the nursing home and talk about free and fair access to the polls. So in terms of the nursing home, that hasn't come up in our conversation today. And as we go forward into this new kind of COVID environment and learn about just how much stress there's going to be on the county budget, I want to fight very hard for maintaining our support for the McLean County Nursing Home and to lobby at the state level, along with the other county board members, to get the governor to increase Medicaid payout rates. Most people think the McLean County Nursing Home is in bad shape because it's not well run or because it's not got a lot of residents. It's just not true. We are near the bottom of the barrel in terms of Medicaid payout rates, and that means that lower income people just don't have the same financial benefit for nursing homes to take in. Now, in terms of the transparency, I find it very difficult to understand why certain members of the board want to truncate the online airing of the meetings, and whether those be county board committee meetings or the full board. We've had more than 1,000 people tune in, and it's important for us to maintain that kind of open access to county government. Right now, there's a 24-hour cutoff for all comments and discussion with the board for things that are on the agenda, 48 hours if it's not on the agenda, and that makes the county board look as though it's insulated from the community, and that's really not a good way to go forward. So I'd work very hard for that, and I don't have much time to talk about it, but redistricting is a massive problem that's coming up for us now in 2021. Redistricting of the community and its legislative districts is going to be top priority for the county board, and I want to be there to make sure that that process is done in a scientific way and not a partisan way.
All right, Jordan, similar question to you, and feel free to take an extra 20, 30 seconds or so to match what Leah had there. Other than the issues we have already talked about this afternoon in our limited time together, Jordan, what are going to be the ones that you care about and think about the most?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's important to note that in this county board district, we also straddle the city of Bloomington entirely. And so a lot of the issues that people who I talk to face, sometimes it's not something that we can do at the county board level, but something that's still important to me, and I'm sure important to Leah as well, is policing reform. It's while McLean County has the sheriff's department. We don't have jurisdiction over BPD, but that's an area where we can work together to find solutions to help our police officers, but more importantly, help our community feel safe. And they don't have, people don't feel safe when they're driving or when they're walking or in their home. That's not right. And we need to bridge that gap. So that's something that's very important to me because it's very important to our local community. Other things that I've hit on are, the town halls, going around and really putting yourself out there to tell people what's going on in the county board, but to also solicit input. I think Leah brought up a good point with transparency is that, any way we can help people understand what's going on and how that is affecting their lives is something that I support wholly. I also touched on the economic entrepreneur grants when we're talking about, helping out our lower income people who have, great ideas. Great ideas are not limited to people who have a lot of capital, but the ability to start a good business is limited partially by how much capital you have. And if you have a great idea and you want to help our local community out and you have a great business plan, I would love to put in a grant program to help you get that capital to start up your business. Finally, I would like to see the government have a full audit of it, of all money being spent, to see where can we make things more efficient. I know Leah talked about wanting to lower spending to help people out. I agree with that. Let's find ways to where we can spend money more efficiently so that we can put that extra money that we find back into communities and in programs that can help people out, not only in District 8, but in McLean County as a whole.
Okay, I think that's good. Jordan Baker, you are up first for your 1-minute closing statement.
Oh, wow, first to start, first to end. Well, I hope in this short time span, you've gotten to know me and the policies that I want to represent. wanting to be more responsive to people at a time when government trust is low, trying to give low-income people that extra boost to start their business, trying to make sure our government runs more efficiently, and trying to support community reforms to help people feel safe. I hope that you will join me and vote for me, whether it's on September 24th at the Coliseum, whether it's voting by mail or voting in person on Election Day. You can visit my Facebook page at Jordan Baker from McLean County Board, or you can type in the URL facebook.com/BakerCB8. You can also email me if you have any questions, bakercb08@gmail.com. I respond very quickly because that's how I believe government leaders should act. Yeah, that's about it. Vote, 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 vote. You know, this is an important election, and we need everyone voting, whether it's by mail, in person early, or in person on Election Day. My name is Jordan Baker. I'm the Republican running for McLean County Board District 8, and I hope to have your vote. Thank you.
Democrat Leah Cline, your 1-minute closing statement, please.
All right, thank you again, Ryan and GLT, for hosting this discussion, and thank you for the listeners for tuning in and for playing an active role in this election. When I entered this race back in October 2019, the world looked very different than it does today. The twin health and economic crises wrought by COVID-19 have added a new importance on active, responsive local leadership. I'm ready to step into that role and to serve the unique needs of District 8. You can find my campaign on Facebook and on Instagram, or you can email me. I respond quickly. Leah4, that's the number 4, McLean County Board @gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you, to talking with you about the concerns you have for our community. And in the meantime, I hope you all stay safe and healthy.
Thanks to Democrat Leah Cline and Republican Jordan Baker. You've been listening to WGLT Election 2020 coverage of the race for McLean County Board District 8, which includes downtown and West Bloomington. Hear all of our election coverage at WGLT.org or online on WGLT's YouTube channel. I'm Ryan Denham.